And we're going to classify neurons based on what their job is and their polarity. So we've seen these terms kind of before, maybe not number 3 exactly like this, but we're actually going to put the functions we saw earlier when we saw that glass of water picture to a neuron. So a sensory neuron, very simply, transmits impulses, information, electrical activity, transmits these impulses towards the CNS. So from a receptor, like vision receptors, like touch, like pressure, like hearing. So from a receptor to the brain and spinal cord, to the CNS or central nervous system, that's the direction of travel from a receptor to the CNS. Those are sensory neurons. Neurons that transmit impulses to effectors, so beginning in the central nervous system, and then to an effector. Remember an effector? One of 4 things: skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, or glands. So if a motor neuron will transmit information from the CNS to an effector, opposite of sensory. And if you have trouble seeing that, go back to that glass of water picture, and you can see that information travels either to the CNS or away from the CNS to an effector. That's the difference between sensory toward the CNS, motor to the effector. And then, if you remember that glass of water picture, there was an integration center, meaning sensory information goes into the CNS, a decision has to be made. So we have neurons, which we call interneurons or association neurons, that are mostly entirely within the CNS. So it's receiving information from the sensory neurons. Now it's deciding what to do. Right? If it was that glass of water, it's going to decide whether you're thirsty or not, whether they want to act on the information they're getting from the sensory neurons. So those interneurons are your CNS, right? Are your decision makers, brain and spinal cord neurons. And if it does decide to act on the sensory input, well, then it'll stimulate a motor neuron in order to make a change to an effector. So those are your 3 classifications of neurons.